Present arm. Salute. Two.
Good morning and welcome to today's Veterans Day program. To all veterans of all branches, thank you for your sacrifice, your bravery, and the example you set for all. It is an honor to be standing before you today to help honor all our veterans, whether you are sitting in the audience today or know of someone who has served and could not be here. All veterans of the United States have not only fought wars, but they deserve our gratitude for preventing them. Today we rejoice and honor the service of American veterans and remember the wise words of General Douglas MacArthur. The soldier above all other people prays for peace. God bless you all for being here. God bless our veterans and God bless America. Thank you and enjoy the program. And before we get started, I'd like to thank the 6th grade class. They wrote nice little thank yous to all of our veterans. And it says, "Dear veteran, I salute your courage, your honor, and most of all your sacrifice. Please accept the special thank you from one American who truly appreciates your willingness to serve our country and what it costs. Best regards," and they all signed it in little ones. So please, all veterans, pick one up, either from Carol Shireman or they will be at the luncheon down at the Legion afterwards.
Welcome, veterans, students, faculty, and guests. We invite your presence. Be with us this morning. Be with us as we honor our veterans of wartime. Help us to care for those who have borne arms in our names. Be with us as we honor our veterans of peacetime. Help us to care for all who step forward, even without certainty that all will remain calm. We know that war is never holy. Help us to remember that each of those who are called is a beloved soul. Be with us as we strive to create a community that is good and safe enough to welcome them home. Help their souls to heal, that they may know themselves to be both holy and whole. Now, if we could observe 30 seconds of silence in remembrance of those who lost their lives so that you and I may be free. So may it be. And now the Boy Scouts of Sutton will do the Pledge of Allegiance. God bless America.
Scouts, attention. Scout salute. Pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the
may be seated. I have the 3 girls state attendees. Please come forward. We've had an awesome year at the Legion Auxiliary, and we did send these 3 gals to the girls' state, and I'd like to give you a little information real quick, and then all 3 of them will just give you a little inkling of what they did. Female high school students who have completed their junior year are competitively selected and sponsored by American Legion Auxiliary units for this program, where they learn about the political process by electing officials for all levels of state government, actively running a mock government. The girls are assigned to mock cities in either the Federalist Party or Nationalist Party. Assistance from dedicated ALA volunteers ensures the program's nonpartisan, governmental, patriotic, and civic objectives are carried out through interactive learning. Though the week is filled with many learning opportunities, there is also time for fun and the foundation of long-term friendships. Candidates should be keenly interested in government and current events and show strong leadership abilities, because the structure of state and local government varies. ALL girls' state programs may vary in content and method of procedure, but each adheres to the same basic core values. Please welcome Olivia Kessler, Rivers Bergen, and Kylie Shretland.
So we just prepared a few things to say, nothing much. I just want to start off by saying Girls State is a great way for you to be yourself and make new friends. I never thought that this would be something I was actually interested in until I got to floor 7. The other 21 girls became my closest friends that week, and my best friend, Jenna Spady, even won governor. Also, Jenna, as well as another girl on my floor, Piper Connelly, were both the 2 delegates selected to represent Nebraska at Girls Nation in Washington, D.C. That was definitely a core memory, and I will never forget how fun that week was. We learned how to work together in state and local governments to create bills about surrounding issues in Nebraska. Overall, it was a very enlightening week, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Amy Williams, Pete Ricketts, Dr. Joe, and John Cook. Nowhere else in Nebraska will you ever see these 4 people in the same room again. Girls State was an experience like no other. After first sprinting across the UNL campus in torrential rains trying to get to the Performing Arts Center, I wasn't so sure about it. But after meeting the friendliest and most energetic 24 girls on 4th floor, I was hooked. At Girls State, we all had to run for either a city, county, or state government position. As a county treasurer, I got to meet the Lancaster County Treasurer, while everyone else met their respective positions as well. Girls State was an experience that I will never forget, and I am proud to be part of the alumni now.
Thank you to the American Legion Auxiliary for giving us this opportunity and sponsorship for the 3 of us to go to Girls State. The experience was unforgettable and eye-opening. I wouldn't change anything about it except I could have done with a few more hours of sleep. In all, I'm extremely proud to be a part of the 80th Cornhusker Girls State alumni. Truly, if you have any interest in attending Girls State, I'd encourage you to attend. If you have any questions about Girls State or Boys State in the future, you can always ask us or reach out to the wonderful auxiliary chapter we have here today. Thank you.
Okay, Carol says you can't hear me. Okay, we have an honor of presenting 2 people with Poster Poppy Awards. Their Poppy Poster last May won certificates and went on to nationals. One was to Selena Graham in the class 3. Is she here today to accept? Is she there? Okay. And the other winner was Ethan Cleaver for class 2. I don't think he's here at the moment. criteria: 50% poster appeal, 40% artistic ability, and 10% neatness. That would leave me out altogether. So. And now I'd like to have past President Rose Batter will come forward and introduce our speaker.
Today, this Veterans Program is a thank you to any and all who are now or have ever worn a United States uniform. Our speaker today is a Vietnam veteran sharing memories of a time in life when he put himself in harm's way. No matter how many years ago it happened, it is a key piece of what Veterans Day has become over the years. For whatever reason, many veterans are hesitant to share their stories in detail, and yet their stories need and deserve to be told, remembered, documented, and passed on to the next generation of family, friends, and neighbors. It's important not only for our speaker, a veteran, to be handed a microphone, but for all of us to really listen and to take heart Mr. Seaman's message he has to share. Before he takes the podium, I want a show of hands if you have ever attended a Nebraska Cornhusker football game at our stadium in Lincoln. More than I thought. Anyway, Cornhusker fans are noted for our crowds. But did you know that there is one black honorary POW MIA chair that is empty, located in Section 33, Row 18? On November 16, 2019, Aurora's mayor, veteran Mayor Seaman, was honored at the Nebraska versus Wisconsin football game as the Sentinel. The university started this in 2018 to honor a veteran at each home football game, a tradition established in which a decorated veteran of the U.S. military service will take his or her post next to this unoccupied chair in honor of more than 800 Nebraskans lost in combat, but whose fate remains unknown. Seaman was nominated by both retired Judge Mike Owens and his lovely wife Nancy. What an honor. Some facts about Mr. Seaman. Specialist for Marlon Seaman served his country in the United States Army. He was assigned the 1st of the 26th Infantry Regiment of the Big Red 1 Infantry Division. His service was an automatic rifleman during his tour north of Saigon in Vietnam. He served 4 months when he was critically wounded while walking point on October 24, 1967, by a gunshot wound to his face, resulting in the loss of his right eye. He was evacuated by the medevac helicopter, taking additional enemy fire. The helicopter winched him out of the jungle canopy on a cable. It required 5 attempts to lift him out because of the intense enemy fire. The Viet Cong were shooting at Marlon as he was extracted from his firefight. He was flown to the 24th Evacuation Hospital in Saigon for surgery and eventually to recover at Fitzsimmons Army Medical Facility in Denver, Colorado. Later, Marlon returned to UNL to earn his bachelor, master's, and educational special degree. He was taught agricultural education and served as an FFA advisor for 31 years at Hampton High School. He is active in community and professional organization and is currently serving his 5th term as mayor of the city of Aurora. Marlon Seaman is joined by his wife, Nancy. It is my honor and privilege to welcome Mr. Seaman to the podium. Why I was breaking up with a little bit of tears is we don't realize what war is all about, but I lost a personal friend in the Vietnam War. As I go back to my seat, let us show our veterans and today's speaker for their special service by standing and applauding.
Congratulations, veterans and students that are in attendance today. It's going to take me a few seconds to set up some of the display items that I have. The talk that I have today is incorporating military-related decommissioned devices and everything, so believe me, it's all safe. And so if you give us a few moments, I will get back with you presently. So if you want to move, yeah. The events of military service are indelibly imprinted on the hearts of the veteran, their families, their parents, their siblings. And today I want to represent those of my comrades who served alongside and were trained with me. And the story that I am going to try to display to you is a story about military service through the eyes of a new inductee. In October of 1966, I was served a letter that said, "Your friends and neighbors invite you to join the military." It was a little different than that, but for those of you who have draft notice, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I have my letter there. My service ended, incidentally, with a telegram to my mother that said, "We regret to inform you that Specialist 4, Marlon Seaman, was critically wounded in a firefight in Vietnam with a gunshot wound to his face." Now, no mother wants to receive. No mother, no father, no sibling. But you know, because of the forces of a gracious God, I survived that and standing here today to tell the story of the creation of a military person. I began with an induction, and the first thing that my sergeant said, and I will compliment my sergeant because, hey, that's what my sergeant would want me to do. Sergeant Nanez and Sergeant Smith told me I could have a footlocker that would be the sole possession of everything that I needed So I'll look inside and see what's in that. Well, the first thing that he felt that I needed was probably a duffel bag, so that I could transport all of the materials that I might need. And what are those materials? Well, let's begin with the set of fatigues. Fatigues are simply green, the standard issue color, and we were, by the way, y'all in here are dressed differently. If you were in the military today, you would all look 100% the same. I mean, I looked at a lot of those pictures, you know exactly what I mean. Everybody wore the same colors. And in fact, when I was inducted, they gave me the same size as everybody else. Fortunately, I weighed 145 pounds, so I was able to fit in everything. But believe me, they did not ask what size I was. So we, from time to time, would be given clothing to wear, and these are jungle fatigues, and they have for us a light hot weather gear. Again, we're all dressed the same. The next thing my drill sergeant gave me was a good set of boots. And for those of you who have been in the military, you know that these are a total violation because they're not polished. The first thing I found out many things those first 9 weeks of basic training, and one is that you could polish shoes so bright that they would be almost mirror finished, and my drill sergeant liked that, and I wanted my drill sergeant to like me, because otherwise I was doing push-ups if not. So a set of boots is a good foundation for every person, and even today as a veteran, I rely upon a foundation that's sound and very capable of making me be a person who is committed to my community with a good foundation. The next thing that they gave me was a blanket. This happens to be a wool blanket. I was in El Paso, Texas, where it never got below 100, but I needed a wool blanket because at night it did get cold. But my drill sergeant also taught me that you could take a small cot, wrap this blanket around it, bow up the mattress, and make the top of it drum tight so that he could bounce a quarter off of it, or you would start over and do it again. Now I wondered why I needed to do that. I have no idea why in combat I needed to be able to do that, because they didn't give me a blanket in Vietnam. But what they were teaching me was discipline. And in school and in the community, we have leaders with a great foundation. We need leaders that are committed to quality of life and a very professional grasp on how well things can be done. Next, my drill sergeant felt that I would probably need to eat, so he would give me a little pan. This contains the rations that I was given by the cook. Now, sometimes when I got to Vietnam, I learned that they don't, in the field, give you food in a pan. They give you the food in a can, and that's called the sea rations. If any of you are fortunate enough, have lived a life of luxury of eating sea rations, little cans of food, with really obscure little names like, beef slices with potatoes. Now, there are two popular people in your company, in your platoon. The one who carries the C4, which is a plastic explosive that when you light it, but don't step on it because it takes both heat and concussion. If you light it, you can heat up a can of that. And the second most important person was the person who carried the Louisiana hot sauce, because you put it on everything so that you could actually change the flavor from nothing to something. Now, you would also want to have with your peanut butter. Whoa. And then you might want to have the really good one, yes, pound fruitcake. That was a highlight. Only thing is, the fruitcake was made in Nebraska City, Nebraska. It was a piece of home that came to me in Vietnam to share in the very essence of the hometown pride of having Nebraska in my name. Next, they submitted the very important lesson to me, in that every soldier is a self-contained fighting unit that is capable of being requested at any moment to deploy into the point of conflict in the battle. So I had to have everything I needed to be able to instantly respond in a firefight or a mission. And this is called web gear. And this web gear contains a canteen of water. It's 112, you get 2 of them, and you had to last all day. Unless you want to drink swamp water, which could turn your innards into some kind of microalgal thing or something. A first aid kit, well, which I found out to be very, very important at that moment in my life. And then an entrenching tool. I could dig a foxhole. It was supposed to be 6 foot deep, 4 foot by 2 foot, with overhead cover sandbags and all of that. I did that every 3 or 4 days during the 4 months I was in the field, because we had to protect ourselves from an enemy attack by having preparation and a completely set pack on our back that could cover everything that we needed to do. Now the steel pot, many of you are familiar with this iconic look, and that steel pot is a symbol of covering your head, protecting yourself from the elements, covering your head from combat, or in my case, often used as a chair to sit on at night. Now I'm going to teach you about patience. You probably don't get this privilege very often of going into the jungle every night and either pull a listening post, ambush, or one of the kinds of experiences that a combat soldier had to make in a combat situation. Because I was in the jungle, I was in the rice paddies, I was in rubber plantations, I was in primitive land that had no purpose whatsoever because it was unoccupied land, except for possibly the American and the Viet Cong. But when you sat down, you would sit on the steel pot, and when the rain started falling, as it did every evening, the crown of your head, the top of your shoulders, and your knees as you sat on the ground would get wet in a little spot, and then it would expand down your shoulders, down your legs, down your face. And what did you do about it? Nothing. Nothing. You didn't swat the mosquitoes. You didn't chase away the rain, because there was nothing you could do about it until several hours later when the rain stopped and it became dry again. The one thing that you could do, though, and I always say that I always knew who the grunts in Vietnam were. A grunt is a name for an infantryman. I was a grunt. Proud. I had a towel. And I considered the order of the towel because I could take this towel, I could wrap my face around it, not to dry it, but to protect from the mosquitoes. And we have great mosquitoes in Nebraska, but they're just babies compared to some of the very healthy B-52 mosquitoes that we had in Vietnam. So, if you live life in a very small, open window so that you can see. Every day we were assigned 3 tasks. Go on a mission, which is called search and destroy. In the evening we either pulled bunker guard, listening post about 100 feet out to listen for the enemy to see if they were going to attack, or ambush, where you went out to try to interact with them, the Viet Cong. The listening post job was to be shot first, so that they didn't get to the main body of the infantry. And so listening post was a somewhat dangerous position because you had to stay awake and protect your fellow humans. Now the final thing my drill sergeant gave me as we move along, and again I remind you this is a decommissioned weapon. This is a look-alike M16. The M16 was a weapon that my drill sergeant told me that I loved, I cared for, and it was more precious than my hometown, more precious than my family. It was the most important thing in my life. The day that I was wounded, I was walking point. The point of an infantry moving column is not to entertain anybody. It is to take a map. It is to take a compass. By the way, the compass is the most important thing I had in Vietnam, because I had to go to a specific spot, tree, item that the map said I was to go to. Now I want to remind you, when you are a point person, you have one task, is to go there. But number two, first one shot. Think about that. When the sergeant said, your turn to go on point, Marlon, he did not intend for me to necessarily come back. And when that helicopter took me out, I didn't go back. Exactly. Think about my role was to save the fellow comrades as best I could in the rest of my company. Now, we all are probably pretty familiar with the soldier. Soldiers made up of web gear, of devices and equipment necessary to create the safest possible environment for them. The soldier that I became on October 24th, 1967 was to walk point to protect and guide my company. An AK-47 bullet from an enemy soldier passed across my face, taking away part of the structure of my face, and resulting in the fact that I had to be airlifted out as described by Rose's introduction. Now, the separation between life and death is very small. Sergeant Stephen Jones, whose radio I was carrying, was standing this far away. Sergeant Thomas Stephen Jones, Rome, Georgia, 21-year-old, black man who represented his family in the military, was standing here. He received 3 shots, gunshot wounds to the chest, and was killed instantly in the field of battle. The one bullet grazed across the front of my face, causing me to fall down backwards with the impact of an extremely effective impact from the bullet. As I got up from that field of battle, I knew that I had moments either to live or to not live, or to die. Now, I was fortunate that God had preordained that I was not going to die on that battlefield in Vietnam. Not necessarily by my will, but because of the circumstances and the forthright medical treatment that I received, I was able to return home. We have before us a disassembled soldier that can only be honored in one way, and that is from a grateful nation who says that we all corporately sought to protect and defend our country, our way of life, and this institution called America. Now, I want to just point out here, the military gave me 2 things. All of these devices here, and one more. And that is right here. These are my dog tags. My original dog tags say that my name, my blood type, my religion, my service number. The only thing that the military gave me that was Marlon Seaman, nothing else in here, that all belonged to him, was my dog tags. Had I died in the field of battle, those dog tags would have went home with me. But I lived and the dog tags came home with me. This is all that was left of me to be individual in the military, because I was not allowed to be an individual, not like we are today. This is my Purple Heart, my combat infantry badge, and the unit that I fought under. I want to thank you for being patriotic. I want to thank you for being caring and nurturing to one another. There are a number of ways of honoring a veteran, and I've seen that acted out today. The military is made up of men and women who have all kinds of purposes for going in, and one of the things I hope you all noticed was the names of relatives and siblings and parents that were displayed on the screen. But the very last of the most important thing that occurred in assembling my soldier was I may have had a dog tag that was me. but I had the American flag. This flag is a flag that will most likely be serviced on my casket at some day when I pass, because we honor our veterans by putting a casket flag. I have mine early. Why? Because I want to show it to all of you that the only reason that I am and where I will be and how I will always fly a flag in front of my house, how I will always honor America, is that I fought under this flag for this way of life and for the future that you have. And I want you to honor Thomas Stephen Jones and others who fell in war, in all wars. I salute the soldier. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seaman. Everybody can stay standing. We're going to retire the colors. I want to thank everybody for showing up today. I want to thank everyone in this room for our way of life. For me, I was in aviation, so I would have been one of the people that were taking Mr. Seaman out. So it's all about sight and what everybody sees. And what you see today was a great speaker, and I hope you learned something, and we all honor everybody who has ever served. Okay, let's retire the colors. Bye.
Squad. Attention. Right shoulder, arm. Left and right turn. Forward, march. Squad, halt.
For anybody and everybody, there is a luncheon at the American Legion downtown for $10. I'm sure all the students want to come. You okay with that, Mr. Vance? Thank you very much. That concludes our ceremony today. Students, please go ahead and go to your fifth period class, or go ahead and get ready for